Hey everyone! I'm delighted to talk to you all today about the recently released State of FireTech report. We are excited to finally put it out there and we can't wait to see how y'all engage with it and put it to use. You can access the report from the Publications tab on the Wonderlab's website. The short URL is up here on the screen. We'd love to get your feedback on the report, so feel free to write to me at shefali@lakhina.com. And to help you make your way through the report, I want to use this brief presentation to really do three things. First, I want to tell you why this report is important in this moment and the key messages that we're aiming to convey through it. Next, I'll introduce you to the report's four main sections and show you how to navigate through them because there's really a lot of information in there. And then finally, I want to concretely show you how this report can be a useful tool to facilitate visioning and theory of change processes at your organization, whether you're a FireTech entrepreneur, a FireTech funder, a local fire department, or a community partner. So why now? Why is the State of FireTech report important in this moment? Well, this first ever State of FireTech report came about as a result of discussions of the Wildfire Technology Funders Group, which is a diverse group of philanthropists, corporates, and impact investors. We came together in early 2021 to collaborate on funding novel technology solutions to the global wildfire challenge. The group is co-chaired by the Gordon and Betty Moore Foundation and Google.org, and you can find some more information about us online, the Northern California Grantmakers website. I've included a direct link on the slide up here. Now, members of the Wildfire Tech Funders Group currently support the work of community-based organizations, nonprofits, researchers, and entrepreneurs in developing and scaling a range of technologies for wildfire risk management. So we represent a pretty diverse group of interests and efforts. Now, members of this group recognize that no single organization can address the wildfire challenge alone. We believe that communities and local authorities on the front lines need a coherent, strategic, and systemic approach to bring forth both clarity and momentum in implementing more effective solutions that can work across diverse contexts. And as you begin to go through the report, you'll notice that we've placed considerable emphasis on funding just, inclusive, and equitable fire tech outcomes. And this is important because we know that technologies are being developed and adopted at a rapid pace to augment capabilities for wildfire risk assessments, forecasting and prediction, early fire detection, incident management, information and communication management, including notification and evacuation systems. And it is true that in recent years, such technologies have generally contributed to saving lives, getting people out of harm's way. However, there is also growing evidence of the ways in which the intersections of race, ethnicity, migrant status, gender, age, ability, income can have serious implications for if and how people access technologies for their safety and their well-being. For example, people with diverse access, functional, and linguistic needs, people living in rural and regional areas with low internet and transport connectivity, and people who are low income and unhoused can be left out and denied access to the benefits of 21st century technologies, and that includes much of wildfire technology. We've also witnessed how such social vulnerabilities have worsened during the COVID-19 pandemic. And so considering these compounding crises and given the broader conversation around just tech and responsible innovation, the Wildfire Tech Funders Group really aspires to show greater intentionality in what kinds of technology outcomes get funded and what our own funding goals should look like. And so with this report, our aim has really been to provide an initial scoping review of progress in fire tech, to identify gaps in FireTech, and most importantly, perhaps, to put together a guiding framework for how to fund just, inclusive, and equitable technology outcomes for wildfire risk reduction. Next, I want to briefly take you through the 4 main sections of the report to help you navigate the report better. Now, I've included a snapshot of the contents page on the right. And now the first section introduces the objectives of the report, which we've just covered. The second section, What is FireTech?, defines this emerging space as the development and application of 3 kinds of technology trends in wildfire risk management. And those are digitization, mechanization, and materials. Now, digitization and data perhaps represent the most significant area of technology development and application at scale, and have really been foundational to the development and application of the other 2 trends, which is mechanization and materials. And you'll see we've also tried to represent these 3 trends in the figure to the left by overlaying them with 4 key priorities for wildfire risk management. And those are risk assessment, mitigation and risk reduction, early detection and response, and recovery and adaptation. And doing this really helps us to align with and contribute to international sustainable development goals and disaster risk reduction priorities, which is really something we're all aspiring to work towards. You'll also notice that we've populated some examples of FireTech innovations in this figure, which you'll find covered in greater detail as you read through the section of the report. And what we've tried to do here is to demonstrate how the maturity of wildfire technologies can be broadly assessed by their state of science, application, and scale. But this framework is not set in stone, of course. We intend it to be a framing device. It is supposed to be dynamic and very much open to iterations and adaptations. So you should feel free to adapt it, expand it, and represent the ways in which your efforts in perhaps related verticals such as fintech, biotech, carbon tech, agri-tech, and perhaps others intersect with FireTech as it's been presented here. Now, back on the contents page to the right, in the 3rd section, which is priority areas for FireTech, we outline the current state, remaining gaps, and recommendations along 4 priority areas. And we do this by giving a summary view of the key funding priorities up front, and then we offer a more in-depth read that elaborates on the recommended next steps for each priority area. Now, up on the screen, I've shared an example of the first priorities summary page. Here, we've listed short and medium-term funding priorities for risk assessment, modeling, and prediction. Now, this section draws on key findings and recommendations from recent scientific and technical workshops and reports, institutional stock-taking and theory of change visioning exercises that many of you have been through, and also insights from a range of philanthropies, corporates, impact investors, local agencies, and community-based organizations. And you can see the list of references at the end of the report for more details on those materials. But as you go through these funding priorities, there could certainly be other areas that we haven't covered here, and perhaps these are areas that you're currently working on right now. In which case, please let us know what's been missed, and we look forward to integrating these further areas in the next report. Now, the final section, which is the guiding framework, outlines the normative goals, desired outcomes, priorities for action, enabling processes, and guiding principles for the development of just, inclusive, and equitable FireTech solutions. Which brings us to the final question I posed at the beginning, which is, how can we put this report to use? Concretely, how can we apply this framework to guide our visioning, theory of change processes, program reviews, and next steps? Well, if your organization is working towards any of these listed normative goals, priorities, outcomes, or relies on these enabling processes and guiding principles, I encourage you to find yourself in this matrix and see where you're best placed to contribute. Or perhaps there are further entry points that need to be on here, and again, I'd be very happy to engage in that discussion. Now, it's important that we think of these as interrelated entry points on multiple continuums that enable us to work towards converging outcomes over the next decades. I want to conclude with the reflection that it's important to also look beyond the development of technology products and services to also being cognizant of the enabling processes and the justice-oriented approaches that can help deliver more equitable wildfire risk reduction outcomes. I hope this has been a useful introduction to the report. Please do get in touch with your comments and feedback as you go through it. And I really look forward to seeing how the next iteration of the State of FireTech can be guided by your work, so much of which occurs at the intersection of technology innovation, community well-being, and ecosystem resilience. Much gratitude for all that you do, and bye for now.